Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Café. Today I have with me Amber Briggle, and she is from mysomamassage.com. That is her business. She has franchised it. And well, I think let's first start. What got you passionate about Soma massage, and what do you mean by Soma? Because I mean it's a term often used
Yeah.
and sometimes overused.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious about that, and welcome to.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm really excited. I kind of probably like a lot of your followers just kind of fell into the healing arts. It's always been kind of something that's been really kind of innate in me, wanting to be a healer, wanting to be a helper. But it honestly kind of organically grew out of the fact that when I was growing up as a kid, we didn't have much. Like we were able to go see the doctor when we needed to, but we didn't always have money for cough syrup. Right. And so like my mom would be making these different like witchy concoctions in her kitchen out of like marshmallow root or licorice or, whatever, just to kind of help us feel better. That kind of opened up this whole world to me, for me, about the healing arts, alternative medicine, complementary modalities. I actually went to a 4-year, very fancy liberal art private college, and graduated with a really fascinating degree and didn't really know what to do with it. It wasn't really my passion. And I found myself a few years after graduation living in Boulder, Colorado, where at the time one of the very best massage schools in the world was located. I had never gotten a professional massage before in my life, but again, like having this like sort of like intuitive drive to heal people, to make people feel better, to bring them comfort. It just seemed kind of like it would be a natural fit for me. So I applied to the school. I graduated with honors a year later. I hit the ground running. I've never looked back. It has been the very best career choice I possibly ever could have made. But I got to a point in my career where I had more demand than I had supply. As a healer, there's only so much of yourself that you can give on a daily basis. And I would start referring people out to other massage therapists in the area who I knew provided quality work, hoping that they would eventually come back to me. And a lot of times they did, because I'm a really good massage therapist. But sometimes they wouldn't. And it's, maybe her schedule was better, or, maybe they lived closer to where maybe that office was located, more conveniently for them. And I realized that it would make more sense for me to start referring people in-house rather than out. And that's really kind of how this business idea became blossomed. It was just kind of again, a happy accident, wanting to scale up to meet the needs of my clients. Of course, you have to think of a business name. I didn't want to name it after myself because I wanted people to see other therapists that were going to be, working under this,
Right.
umbrella that I was creating. And I settled on the term Soma massage therapy. I liked it. It sounded new agey, but it also sounded sciencey. So I think it kind of like was in both worlds. Really, what we're trying to do at Soma Massage Therapy is get people just out of their heads and into their bodies. We are thinkers all day long, and we forget to just be, and if we can provide people an hour of peace where they can just get out of that humming, that buzzing that's constantly going on in their brains, and return back to just the foundation of their breath, right? And unlock their jaw, actually connect with their feet, expand their diaphragm and open up their hips. It's just going to help clear the brain, right? And just kind of clear the way for everything else in life to fall into place. And so that's really what we're trying to do as massage therapists, and that's really what we're trying to do at Soma Massage Therapy. And so Soma, of course, being Greek and Latin for, body and feeling, that's really kind of where that came from. But I kind of like that double entendre of like it's both. It sounded sciencey, but also kind of new agey. So that is how I came up with the name for my business. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so you were um, initially trying to fulfill a demand. right?
Hmm.
You had
Hmm.
more people wanting you, and then what happened, or how did you come across the model of franchise? How did, because
Yeah.
that's, I mean, a lot of therapists, have, well, financial issues, but they also have financial blockages in the idea
Yeah.
that, they don't deserve more and that type of thing. So there's a lot actually to get through. But so
Mhm.
how come you didn't have that issue, or did you overcome it?
I mean, I think, well, I want to touch on a point you said there about how we feel like we maybe don't deserve it. And I don't know if that's necessarily a massage therapist thing or if that's a woman thing, right? Like 85% of massage therapists are women. And I think we're kind of conditioned growing up to not ask for what we want. We get seen as pushy, demanding, bitchy, right? And so I wonder if we're kind of like culturally conditioned as women, and then because a vast majority of massage therapists are women, I wonder if that's also kind of the label that's put on them,
Mhm.
on us. Getting back to your question, how did I overcome that sort of like? I just pushed through it. I saw that my clients had a real need for more massage and more time on my table, and I could only give my clients what I could give, safely and ethically and energetically, right? um, and so I saw that that first degree needed more than I could give, but then they're also referring their friends to me. So that second degree and then out and out and out. And I knew that if I could just create a space where I trusted the massage therapist, I was overseeing everything, that I knew that I could provide them that quality of touch and that quality of care that they deserved. It was a lot of trial and error. Honestly, I did not go to school for business. I think probably a
Right.
lot of your followers probably also don't have a background in business. But we have a drive and a desire and a passion to help and to serve, right? I've been a massage therapist since 2004, so it's been 21 years I've been in this field. And at every step of the way, it's just been kind of scaling up. And I certainly made my fair share of mistakes. I mean, it's a little bit like baby proofing your house. Like, something's coming. So you're like, you don't baby proof your house the moment you get pregnant. You start doing the things as they pop up. And that was kind of me. I was kind of scrambling. But over the years, I've gotten pretty good at this, and I've grown now my business we have two locations. Our main location grosses over $1 million a year. We see 1,000 people a month, and we're starting our franchise journey now because I can't. I would love to have 500 Soma massage therapies across the country. And imagine if we see at our one location 1,000 people in a month. If we had 500 or 1,000 locations nationwide, like how many more people we could be serving and healing. I do not have the bandwidth to manage that many people. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And so and yet I wanted to continue providing this really high quality care that we provide at Soma. And so I decided, rather than taking the money that it would cost for me to open another location, I would take that money and invest it in a franchise model. And that's not something that I knew much about a couple of years ago. And so I wanted to make sure I was doing it in a sustainable and responsible way. So I hired a coach and a consulting firm who walked me through it and like extracted all of this knowledge that was in my brain over the last 20 years and actually put it down on paper. So we can duplicate our success, we can duplicate our customer service, we can duplicate our philosophy of massage, our no tipping model, right? Like, you've never tipped your physical therapist or your chiropractor. What we're doing is adjacent. Why would you be tipping us, right? And taking that sort of that medical therapeutic rehabilitative aspect of massage therapy and kind of blowing it up nationwide. And so it wasn't necessarily like I didn't, as a kid, I never thought, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a massage therapist. No, like I want to be an astronaut or a journalist. Like that's what I wanted to do, right? And then I kind of fell into this. I think probably a lot of your followers, probably many of them, not all, but many of them probably also kind of fell into this with like these
Right.
healing modalities. And for me, it's just been a matter of a desire to continue meeting the needs of my clients. And so I just pushed through. It was really kind of an act of service to them, wanting to create that healing safe space for as many people as possible. And I screwed up a lot in the past, trying to figure this out. Now I've got a really solid model, and I developed. I want to emphasize this point too, that Soma massage therapy, we had been around pre-COVID. It was really actually during and post-COVID that we really blew up as big as we did. So when we closed in March of 2020, I had 2 locations and maybe 13 massage therapists. We closed, I reopened, I had 1 location, I had 4 massage therapists. One by one, they quit because it was just so demanding on women, especially during the pandemic. And 14 months later, when from the moment the day we had closed to 14 months later, I had reopened in this new facility that we're at now, where I've got twice as many treatment rooms. I've got 25 massage therapists. We're back up to 2 locations. We gross over $1 million a year. All of that happened kind of post-COVID, right? And when a lot of businesses, especially those of us who are physically touching people, like we don't have products to sell, we're physically touching people. A lot of us just had to give up our businesses, right? And
Yeah.
we had to close. And so I see the success that we've experienced at Soma, and I really want to be able to bring that to as many people as possible to help them grow sustainable and successful businesses while at the same time healing, providing that healing touch to as many people as possible across the country. It was just
Well,
I just needed to do it. So yeah.
yeah. But so did you, in the state you were in, did you have to wear hazmat suits and all that stuff
Yeah,
to?
good question. So I'm in Texas, so there was no
Oh,
pandemic here in Texas.
oh, right. Okay.
No, we did, but
Okay.
when we did reopen, we were
Uh,
closed for 2 months, and we reopened, and that's it felt like forever, but I know in a lot of places they were closed for longer.
we were a year and a half, right?
Oh my goodness, where are you located?
In Canada, and
Oh
we couldn't
goodness. Yeah.
travel, and people were terrified, and
Yeah.
wouldn't do touch because in Bowen College, it's touch, not the same degree of touch as massage.
Yeah.
But half the people were asking, are you enforcing the mandates for
Hmm.
those shots? Because I'm not coming unless everybody has taken
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Others would say, are you accepting people who have taken those shots? Because we don't want to be shed on, right? So like, so there's
Yeah.
like so much to deal with there.
There was a lot to navigate, and
Yeah.
we just we followed the law. So we stayed closed for those 2 months. It was painful, but we weren't closed for 18 months.
Yeah.
That's wow, that would have just, oh, absolutely been awful. And then when we reopened, we followed the best medical guidelines put out by the CDC here in the United States. That's like our they we followed what we knew at the time, right? Not every massage place would do that, but I saw a responsibility of my team that I needed to create a safe and healthy space. Like that is what we do as healers, right? We safe and healthy. And you wouldn't go to see, like your doctor would wear a mask, your nurse practitioner would wear a mask. Like we can't keep 6 feet apart away from you. So we're going to wear a mask and you're going to wear a mask too. And we did lose business over that. We did lose business. People would refuse to wear a mask, or they'd wear a mask that only covered their mouth. And I'm like, your nose is part of your respiratory system too. So I don't know what you did. And we did lose business over that. And it was painful because I had just hemorrhaged money over 2 months. We didn't have anything, like I said, to sell other than physical touch. And then one by one, my staff kept leaving. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. But I stuck to it because my values are, you take care of the people first. Take care of your people first, and then the profits will fall into place. And so I followed what the CDC recommended, which was make sure you're masking. Now, I understand that that was controversial, and that may be controversial for your listeners too, but I was trying to do my very best. And what the science was telling us at the time was to wear the mask. And so I required that. I did lose business, but I did also gain a lot of business at that time. I was very transparent about our safety protocols, including, this very expensive air scrubber that I had installed. I didn't have the money for it, but I never want to be that business owner or that boss who thinks that my paycheck is more important than someone's safety. And the moment you start having an outbreak in your facility, your therapists are calling out sick, your clients don't want to come in anymore, and no one feels safe, right? And so I was very transparent about that. And we end up actually gaining a ton of clients during that time because they were going to their other massage studio that wasn't following CDC guidelines, or they weren't taking the time in between to fully sanitize their studio, and they didn't feel safe, and they saw what we were doing, and so they came to Soma massage therapy. I also gained a lot of massage therapists at that time. Either their clinics had closed or they didn't feel safe at where they were working. So, I've done a series of webinars on, like, who's your target market, what's your differential advantage, like what are your values. They all kind of like, it's like this Venn diagram, right? And people can go to our YouTube channel and watch all that, but it really kind of helped me really define. I mean, I knew who we were. It just really kind of solidified who we were and the type of client that we're trying to attract. And we've been a very successful business ever since. And I know, some of your followers may not agree with me on the masks, but that was the stance that we took, and it ended up being a very positive outcome. It kept my clients and my team safe, and it helped us grow, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely different stories over
Yeah.
here. But I
Yeah.
think too, when things are exaggerated, like as they were in Canada, where it
Mhm.
becomes so insane that you
Mhm.
realize that it doesn't make sense,
Yeah. Yeah.
then people are more skeptical about it. And
Mhm.
there's some people in fear, and they'll just stay in fear. And despite all the studies that show that masks are actually not that helpful, I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't quite make sense.
Mhm.
I mean, over an open wound, yes, but not in the way we use them, put them on,
Mhm.
take them off, sit down,
Yeah.
eat, whatever,
Yeah. Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
rigmarole and this
Yeah.
arbitrary 6 feet. And, you know, I think then it's very hard to enforce for those who see through it, and now that we know what's happening with the CDC and all the stuff the lies and the total corruption,
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I guess if you see it earlier, it's hard. You have to be authentic in your business, right? And I
Mhm.
think what I'm getting from what you're saying is, as long as you're aligned with it and you are aligned with this, then the people will join the business that are aligned
Right.
with that view. And it
Right.
doesn't matter right or wrong in that sense. It's
Mhm.
what's happening now, right?
Right,
And
right.
I
And there,
think
and
excellent folks.
and you and I may disagree on the safety or the validity of masks, but I think we can both agree, like as you just said, when you define who you are and you stick to that, then you're going to attract the clients who are attracted to you. You
Right.
can't be you
Exactly.
can't be everything to everyone. You'll be talking
No.
out both sides of your mouth, right? You have to be consistent. You have to say no. You have to have some guardrails and some boundaries. And those were the boundaries that I determined was going to be best for my business. And it certainly, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, we
Proof is
we
there.
rocketed to the moon after COVID, right? Because
Yeah.
those were, and had I chosen a different model, I don't know, you can't run a parallel experiment, but it's possible I would have attracted different clients and we would have gone somewhere else, right? So we may disagree on the validity of masking. However, I think we both agree on,
Mhm.
you stick true to who you are,
Exactly.
and you're going to attract the right employees, the right clients,
Yeah.
and you can build your business off of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think
absolutely.
that's definitely
But
one
don't
of the
compromise on your values. Yeah,
exactly. I
yeah.
think I think that is really and people can tell that in a business,
Mhm.
whether
Right.
you're coming from an authentic place,
Hmm.
whatever your belief is, and yeah, you'll attract who you attract. That's how
Right.
how it
Yeah.
works.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Yeah.
And circumstances can be different. Usually when Americans find out what happened, especially in British Columbia, they're like appalled,
Mhm.
I mean, they're still enforcing it now.
Mhm. Interesting. Five
Yeah,
years later. Wow.
yeah, and it's like that's quite crazy because
Mm.
the rest of the world has dropped it,
Wow.
and certainly to children, it's been dropped. Some of them, it's been dropped in some countries 2, 3 years ago because
Yeah.
of the side effects.
Mm.
So it's very interesting, it's like, how much do you trust? We're in a system, right? And you have to, as a business, you have to find your way in the system.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
a lot
And
of considerations, right? Like,
yeah, and I think something that really came out of, as I'm looking at this from the business owner's perspective,
mm,
something that I think came out of those lessons that we learned collectively through COVID, at least here in Texas, was that you don't have to compromise safety and profits, right? Like you can have both. And I think a lot of elected officials got a lot of grief from chambers of commerce and small business owners and whatnot. Like we can do this safely. Please just give us the space to do that. And I
mm,
think I think that was a really important lesson that, yeah, I mean, no business owner wants to, no responsible business owner
right.
wants to,
They-
yeah, wants to take shortcuts and wants to compromise their values and wants to put people at risk. Like the moment you put your profits in front of the people, the whole thing falls apart, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you're
yeah,
taking care of your and make the smart decision that makes sense for your business. And for us, what we saw was we're in close contact. There's a
yeah,
pandemic happening. This is what we're going to do to keep people safe and that. And I think every responsible business owner needs to make those decisions that make the most sense for their business. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And we're talking about masks when we're talking about the shots. I don't remember, but in Texas, was that mandated or no? You see,
No, I don't know. It wasn't mandated. I didn't mandate it for my team either. I
right,
mean, bodily autonomy is super important, right? And the moment you start
right,
mandating shots, you can start mandating other things. So I was not a fan of these vaccine requirements. However, um, I didn't require my team to get a shot, but I did want them to test regularly. Like, if you had a scratchy throat, like I want you to go test and make sure you're not, bringing that to work or anything. So we had our workarounds. We made our compromises, but no, it wasn't mandated in Texas, and I never mandated it at my business either.
yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
here it was mandated,
Oh
right? So
goodness! Wow.
yeah, and that I think is also where a lot of people drew the line. It's
Hmm.
because bodily autonomy, well,
Yeah.
you can't prove
Hmm.
scientifically that it's effective, right? And now we find out that they didn't even test for effectiveness,
Hmm.
so it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Why would, what was this for, right? Anyway, we don't have to go down that path, but it's as a business owner, so you have to consider so many things, right? Like, and we say the law, sure, but what happens there's um when it goes further than what feels, I don't know if you call it morally right, like for me to insist, that one of my practitioners has to do something that I don't feel that there's enough evidence that it works
Hmm.
or that it's helpful would be inauthentic to me, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so these are like, anyway, we
Yeah.
certainly went through a lot in British
Yeah.
Columbia.
Yeah.
I was looking often at the states going, oh my God, I wish we had a little more freedom here,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, but it's a great story that despite all of this, it's still you have to come to terms with what you're comfortable with as
Yeah.
a business, and
Yeah.
that's what grows it, and that's what attracts your
Right. Your target market.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Don't compromise on your values. And that's just,
No,
we
yeah.
just stuck to it. And again, we lost business, but we got plenty more. And those, and
So,
when I have a new massage therapist join our team, it is very quickly within the first couple weeks that they're here. They're like, oh my God, your clients are amazing. The clients here are so good. I'm like, yeah, that's intentional. Right. Like I
right,
work like that. I put our values out there and you're going to attract the right people. And that goes for any business and any
yeah,
person, just put yourself out there, be authentic. Don't waver on your values, and you're going to attract the right people, which will then help you kind of double down on those values
Exactly.
if you ever get challenged. So yeah.
So what would you say are unique aspects of the Soma massage, like, or of the running of your operation that you'd say
Yeah.
that's the secret sauce that's different?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I did a whole webinar on this actually on the
I'm
different
sure.
advantage. So check it out on our YouTube channel. So one of our biggest factors is we have a no tipping model. I'm not sure what it's like in Canada, but here in the US, we're really tip heavy and people are getting tip fatigue. And I've always, as a massage therapist, even when I was a solo practitioner, in my early days living in Boulder, I never took tips because I figure if
Yeah,
you've never, like I said, you've never tipped your physical therapist or chiropractor, why would you be tipping us? It puts us in the service industry instead of in the
right.
healthcare field where we belong, right?
Yeah,
And I felt like I was validated during COVID too, because like the very first things to shut down were like hair, nails, bars, restaurants, like places where you tip, right?
yeah,
Who got to stay open? Physical therapists and chiropractors. And I'm like, like we're touching people too. Like let us stay open. So we have a no tipping model. I feel like it takes the stress out of the whole experience, both for the
yeah,
client who shouldn't have to balance their checking account when you're like elbow deep in their piriformis. It also takes the stress away from the massage therapist because when
yeah,
the economy tanks and your clients keep coming back, but they can't afford to tip as much or at all, and you're counting on tips, then your paycheck suffers,
yeah,
right? So I
yeah.
would rather just pay my team a living wage, right? And roll that cost into the cost of the massage and just take the stress out of it for everybody. So that's one of the things. We take HSA, a health savings account here in the United States, and flex payments. So you can use we don't bill insurance, but we can provide you itemized super
Receipt.
bills and receipts so that they can request reimbursement. We provide full 60-minute sessions. So a lot of massage places might only give you 50 to 55 minutes because they've got to check you out and you've got to change and they got to turn the room over. Da, da, da. So, but we'll do, when you book a massage at Soma, instead of it being a 60-minute appointment, it's usually a 75 or sometimes a 90-minute appointment, depending on how much of a buffer your particular therapist feels that they need in between sessions. That way, everyone can move at an intentional, leisurely, grounded pace, and we're making sure that our clients get the full session, but we're also taking care of our therapists, right, who need that time to
Right.
hydrate and ground and center and check that text message from their kid and have a granola bar and get back to it, right? I've talked a lot about our people first philosophy, that we really make sure that we're taking care of our therapists and our clients and also our community. Because if we want our clients to be healthy and balanced and thriving, that needs to extend beyond our doors, right? They need
Yeah.
to be living in a healthy and balanced and thriving community. And so we go hard for our public schools. Like, I'd rather give $500 to the PTA than to Google for some sponsored ads, right? And we really invest hard in our local community, our nonprofits, so that they can in turn invest back in us. We go above and beyond for our customer service, which is all written in our ops manual, which we provide to our franchisees. I think one of the biggest things too is we really just personalize every session. So when
Mhm.
you come in, part of that 75-minute hour massage, right, is that you have the ample opportunity to speak with your practitioner that day and your therapist and let them know, hey, I know we've been working on my right hip, but I sneezed and something went out on the left side of my neck, and we need to be working on that today. And then they can dig deeper. So what did you do between last session and this one that made that imbalance in your body, right? And really kind of get down to it so they can kind of come up with, for lack of a better word, a treatment plan for that session. And then they get on the table, and you might throw the whole thing out the window with their consent, of course, because you're noticing that there's something else going on, maybe in their hamstrings, right? And so, really taking the time to kind of personalize every session so that every client who comes has their needs met. We don't charge more for deep tissue versus Swedish because we never know what we're going to be getting until we
Mhm.
get our hands on you. We want to make sure we can meet you in that moment. So I could go on and on, but people can if you go to our YouTube channel at My Soma Massage, I did a whole webinar on differential advantage where I kind of highlighted some of the things that make Soma different as well. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, I must say I love the no tip thing.
yeah, a lot of our clients do. They
Yeah,
love that. Yeah.
and I think it makes sense. I mean, in my profession, even when we do Bowen therapy, which is the physical component, we don't take tips, you know?
Hmm.
So there's always a joke when especially guys get off the table and there's all this change, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't take tips. But but yeah, I think well, for one, it's like, yeah, it changes from service to actually health related.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
with bone therapy, where you're doing even less, because you do a few moves and then you leave the body respond.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a different type of approach to somatic work.
Hmm.
It, yeah, it works way better
Yeah.
if you put everything behind so that people can relax into
Yep.
it
Yeah.
without, I've had massages where it's like, oh my God, like I feel so great now. Where did I put my wallet?
Right.
Like, no, like it's like,
Yeah.
let me pay for this first and let me enjoy it.
Right. And you
And
shouldn't have to figure out like how much can I afford to tip them without offending them so that I can still
exactly,
come back in 2 weeks
exactly.
like I need to. Let's just take it out. Like
Yeah,
you don't worry about that with your chiropractor. You just go and see your chiropractor once a month because that's what you need to do. And
right,
we found actually this unintended but beautiful consequence of this no tipping model is that the vast majority of our clients really see this as maintenance work. Like they come to see
right,
us
exactly,
before they get hurt, right? Like
right, right,
you get your teeth cleaned so that you don't get a cavity, right? Like you go to see your chiropractor so that you don't throw your back out. Like these are the things that you do to keep your body healthy. And when you can
right.
massage back in that field instead of, getting my nails done and getting a drink brought to me, that's a treat. Right.
Mhm.
But if you put us back in the healthcare field where we belong as healthcare practitioners,
Yeah,
that provides that steady flow of these very loyal, consistent clients who come back
yeah.
month after month for years at a time. Yeah.
And also it makes a difference. Like, it's not about not paying what's due. It's also nice to know that who's running it is taking care of the practitioner,
Yeah.
so that they're
Right.
not
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
waiting, how
Uh-huh.
much tip am I going to get? They know
Right.
that
Yeah.
that's kind of taken care
Yep.
of,
All
and
taken care of. Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
happy. And so no, I think it makes sense, especially in
Yeah.
massage where that isn't a
Uh,
thing.
yeah.
So I think that's a great advantage.
I like I know, and I'm very transparent with therapists when we do that initial phone interview. I'm like, we don't take tips. That's weird, but this is why. And for some people they're like it's a deal breaker. And you know what? That's
That's
fine
right.
because that they don't belong at Soma, right? They belong somewhere else. But with other people, they're like, I've never thought about it that way. That makes so much sense. And we have therapists who've been with us for years, which is kind of unheard of in this industry. A
Yeah,
lot of therapists would kind of bounce, once or
yeah,
twice a year from studio to studio, looking for better money or better management. But I take care of my team and they stick around. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what can a therapist expect as a wage? I mean, like per day or how do you work that out?
Well, I mean, it really varies on the area that you're
Sure.
in. So the cost of living in Texas is a lot less than it is, like say in like California or Seattle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we work with our franchisees on setting their price point
Mhm.
to reflect what the market can support in your
Yeah.
area, and
Yeah.
then and you pay your therapist a living wage kind of based on that. So you kind of reverse engineer like
Right.
what do my margins need to be to stay in business, and you factor in payroll and overhead and insurance and all the stuff, and then you kind of set your price point on that. So it's really going to vary from
Mhm.
location to
Mhm.
location. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, our time actually is up. That
Oh
was
goodness, that was
I,
fast.
I can't believe that's a whole half an hour.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Okay. Well,
before we go, no, before we
yeah.
go though, I do want to mention because I've said it a couple times, we are franchising. And if any of what I've said resonates with you or any of your listeners, I would love to speak with them more. They can find us at mysomamassage.com. There's a tab at the top of the page for franchising. You don't have to be a massage therapist to own a Soma massage therapy franchise. The dude who owns the lube oil filter place probably isn't a mechanic. He just likes cars, right? So like you don't have to be a massage therapist, right? I've done a lot of the messy, dirty work beforehand over the 20 years I've been doing this so that we have a really streamlined, really, really great business model. I'd love to speak with you. And if it's not right for you, but you know someone that this might be a good opportunity for them, Please send them my way, because if they become a Soma massage therapy franchisee in the future, then you, for sending us the referral, would get either $1,000 cash or a year of free massages, which is pretty great. So, so please send them my way, because I'd love to really blow this business model up and just totally redefine the massage therapy industry as a whole, and just base it off of what we're doing, which is pretty great. So yeah, thanks for letting me get that plug in. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. And thanks for sharing your knowledge with
Yeah.
us.
Oh, that was a great time. Thanks for the time today.
So, what I want to focus on from this interview is really the focus on the client, and changing what's expected. For example, you know, in massage, people expect to pay a tip. So changing that, and yet making sure that the practitioner is paid as if they had been tipped, as in that's taken into consideration, um, makes the practitioner happy because they're fine and they don't have to worry, they're covered. But the experience for the client is quite different. So, in that you don't have to think, oh, what, exactly all the things that she said, right? So that's sort of an industry shift that, that you can test out in the market. If you're doing something that's a little bit different than other people and that makes sense, and that is with your client in mind, that can make a big difference. Also, shifting the hour thing, how many times I've looked when I have these massages or something, which I don't do regularly, but when I have one, it's like, yeah, 10 to the hour. Okay. It's a 50-minute massage, but they call it an hour, that type of thing. It's just to shift that, and actually give an hour and do the extra 15 minutes or whatever's needed when there's no stress, because there's no financial stress. Then as a patient, or as a client rather, that you're going to get what you need, because the focus is not on the funding, it's really on what's needed and on your return visits, because now you're going to look at it like something that is focused on you and your well-being. So um, I think it's a very interesting realization tidbit. So if you're starting your own practice, or you want to do a franchise second layer or second level, yeah, it's really seeing what is the difference that you can offer people. So I know with Bowen College, one of the things that I did, which made a big difference because it made people think, I would book 3 visits in a row, and I would tell them that they can cancel like 24 hours ahead for, so that it's fair to the practitioner, if they felt that they were very near 100% better. And so what that did is let the patients know that I'm expecting that they're going to get significantly better, and also that I'd say things like, I enjoy cancellations, which is true, because that means that they've gotten better and they've canceled. And that's pretty well the only, outside of, something, an airplane that didn't arrive or a car that broke down, those are pretty well the only cancellations we'd ever have. And so people waiting in the waiting room would hear, oh, absolutely, I'll let her know, or I'll let them know why you canceled. I'm so glad that you're doing so much better. So again, that changes a little bit the spirit of people that are in your waiting room and going, wow, they actually do care, which obviously we do care. So anyhow, so just to think a little bit out of the box really helps. Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.